Hi and welcome to how to build a simple Twitter clone using Django and Vue.js. The project we will be building during this tutorial will be called Oink Oink, and it will contain much of the basic functionality from Twitter and other social networks like user profiles, following other users, a feed with posts, likes, and the possibility to send each other direct messages. I think this will be a really cool project to build. By the end of this video, you have a social network looking like this. You can sign up and you can log in. If you log in with the user, you will have a feed with oinks from yourself and the oinker you are following. You can also like the oinks and you can follow other oinkers. We also have possibility to send a message. As you can see here, we have a conversation. If I send a yo to codewithstein, log out, log in again with codewithstein, I should get a notification up here. Admin sent you a message. So everything here works perfect. I hope this looks interesting and that you want to follow along. Feel free to leave a comment below if you have any questions. The task I'm going to go through in this video is setting up and creating a project, create folders and structure and similar, create app for the core views, create app for the oinks, and app for the user profiles. Then I'm going to create the base HTML files, create a front page with some information, page for the login and sign up. I'm going to create a page for my feed, make it possible to sign out, make it possible to write an oink. This is going to be submitted to the backend using Vue.js. Going to make it possible to search for oinkers and oinks. Going to make it possible to follow an oinker. Going to make it possible to see my followers and who I follow. I'm going to make it possible to see other oinkers' followers and who they follow. I'm going to make it possible to like an oink. I'm going to add direct messages. So you can see a message and have a list of all your conversations. And this is going to be some kind of Vue.js. Then, when I'm finished, I'm going to deploy the project to a live server. I will begin by creating a virtual environment for the project. I always recommend that you do this. This way the deployment will be much easier because you can have the exact same Python environment on both places and it's much easier to maintain. I create one by saying virtual env and then the name, which will be oink oink 364. 364 is the Python version I'm running on my computer. And then I can hit enter. Next I want to go into it by saying cd oink oink. And then I want to activate it by saying source bin activate. So you can see here that it's prefixed with the environment I'm in. Every time I run pip now, it will install the packages just for this environment. So the first package I want to install is Django. Pip install Django. This will automatically install the newest version of Django, which currently is 3.1. And to also install a couple of other dependencies that Django has. Now that Django is installed, we can easily start a new project by running Django admin start project oink oink. And I can also go into this cd oink oink like that. Here's a couple of standard files from Django. I will come back to all of these later and explain what they all do. Don't need to be any more overwhelming than it already is. Before I do anything more, I just want to initialize the database. I do this by running python manage.py make migrations. I don't have any migrations yet, but I always like to run this command first. Then python manage.py migrate. This will run the actual migration. So now I should have a simple SQLite 3 database here in the root as well. We can test that everything is working by running a development server, python manage.py run server. Django comes with the default web server. for development, but this is not suitable for production. So the install worked successfully. Perfect. So I can also go back to the command line and create a super user for the Django admin interface. Python manage.py create super user. And then I just say admin at oink.com. And then a password. Oops. Yes. So now I have a super user, so I can run the server again just to log into the admin interface. Like that. Sign in with the user I just created. Here you can see that we can access the users. There's only one for now. The groups and similar. This comes automatically when you install Django. Later in this video you will see posts here and all of the other things from the database. So we could also add new users here and similar if you wanted to do that. But right now everything is working and we can continue to create the structure for the project. But before I continue, I want to say thank you to my first Patreon, Frederick Rowland. Thank you so much for the support. If anyone else wants to become a patron for codewithstein, I will add a link in the description below. So here I want to just stop the server again and create a new folder in the root, mkdir apps. This is where I want all of the apps to be located. I like to organize all the Django apps inside this apps folder because this gives a very clean structure without too much mess in the root folder. I can also start the first Django app, but I want to create a folder for this, core. And then I create a new Django app by running Python manage.py start app, and then the name and the location, which is apps/core. And then I can I can go ahead and open the project in Visual Studio Code. So I can just run the server, so I have it running, and then I can go to Visual Studio Code. So to the left you can see the project structure, apps, and then the other files that came earlier. Inside the core apps folder, I want to create a new folder to place all the templates. So inside there I say templates, and inside that template folder I want to create one called core. This makes it easy to find all the files later. And then the next thing I want to do is to register this app with Django, because Django doesn't know that it exists yet. So inside the settings.py file there is a list called installed apps. At the bottom here I want to say apps.core, and then I can save. Also I can go to the next thing I want to do is to create the base template for the whole project. So inside the core folder here I create a new file called base.html, and then I start adding the HTML here. Add the doc type, HTML, head, add some metadata here, meta, char set, UTF-8, meta, name, viewport, so we can make this mobile friendly as well, content, width, device width, initial scale is 1. You can also set the title for the page, oink, oink, and I want to include a CSS framework called Bulma, because then I don't have to think too much about the styling for this project. Link rel, style sheet, href, https. I will add a link to this in the description below. cdn.jsdeliver.net, npm, bulma at 0.90, css bulma.css, min.css, because we want the minified version. Okay, below here, I want a body. On top of the body, I want a navigation bar. Nav class nav bar. And I want this to be blue, so I just use a class from Bulma is info role navigation. I want the logo placed to the right. I place this in a class called navbar brand, and then I need to add a link to the front page class navbar item, because if I add this, then Bulma will place it in the middle of the navbar. Strong oink oink, like that. Next to this, I want the hamburger menu to be showing on mobile devices. A class navbar burger span area hidden equals true, and I want 3 of this, like that. So that's the navbar for now. We'll come back to this later. Just like to add some comments so I can separate the code. And then I want the content section class content. Copy this and content. In here I want to add something called a block. This is Django's template language, block content. And then I close it by saying end block. This makes it possible to extend this base template. So I will show you how it works in a second when I create the front page template. Front page.html. So here I say on the top extends core/base.html, and all I have to do in here is say block content and block in one word, div class container, div class columns, div class column is 12, h1 class title, welcome to oink oink, and save. So this code will be put in here automatically when Django renders this page. To test this, I want to create a view so we can see that everything is working. So in the core folder we have a file called views.py. Here I can say def front page request, and here I just want to render the HTML for the front page. So I say return render, pass in the request parameter, core front page.html. Oh, to test this view, we also need to import it to a file called urls.py. URLs is kind of a collection of all the available content for the project, almost like a table of contents. So if I scroll down into the oink oink folder, I have a file called urls.py. Here I can import the front page view we just created from apps.core.views, which is this file, import front page. Then I can add it to the URL patterns path. The front page shouldn't have anything in here because it's just the oinkoink.com. Then I pass in the view and give it a name so I can reference it from other places. Okay, like that. So if I save now, I can go back here. Everything seems to be working, and I can go to the browser to test this. If I refresh now, you will see this, and everything here is working. It's perfect. As you can see, we see the title. This comes from the front page.html, and the rest here is from the base.html. This is because we are extending this file and just passing data into the blocks. The front page will contain a little bit more information about the social network and similar, but this is something I will come back to. I see that I managed to say content here, but this should say class section. Refresh, so now we get a little bit space over here too. Okay, I can create two more templates file, one for the login and one for the sign up. I want both of them inside the same folder here. Login.html. I want this to extend the base template as well. core/base.html. The reason why Django can find the core folder in this templates file is because if I go to settings.py under templates and I have set app.dir to true, this is default. So it knows to look for a templates folder inside all of the apps. So inside the templates folder it finds core, and inside there the file called base.html. So I also want the block content here as well. Div class container, div class columns, div class column is 12, h1 class title login. Then I can end the block and save, and I can just copy this, create one more file, sign up.html, paste it, sign up. Before I do anything more there, I want to create the user profile models. These will be used to extend Django's default user model. I begin by creating a new folder and Django app. I do this in the command line. mkdir apps/oinker profile instead of user profile. And then I start the app, Python, manage.py, start app, oinker profile, which is the name of the app, and then the location. Hit enter, and then we can just run the server again. And I can go back to settings.py and just register it up here before I forget it. apps.oinker profile, save. And then I want to change the database model for the oinker profile. So I go into the oinker profile folder and open up models.py. First I want to import the user model from Django, from django.contrib.auth.models import user. Below here I want to create my model class oinker profile models.model. I want one field to reference the user. This is models.one to one field. User on delete models.cascade. So when I delete the user, I also delete the oinker profile. I also want one field called follows models.many to many field. I want this to reference itself. Related name is followed by. This way I can get the follows and I can also get followed by. So it's very easy to check who a user follows and who he is followed by. I also need to set symmetrical to false. Symmetrical equals false. I do this because this means that if I follow you, you don't automatically follow me back. Below here, I want to say user.oinker lowercase oinker profile equals property lambda u colon oinker profile dot objects dot get or create user equals u, and I get the first one. The lambda function makes it possible to just create the user object when I sign up a user. And when I want to reference the oinker profile, it tries to get one, and if there aren't one, it's going to create one. So when I sign up, I don't have to create an Oinker profile also. So now I can save and go back to the command line and just update the database. Python manage.py make migrations. So here it says that I want to create a new model called Oinker profile. And then I run the actual migration by saying Python manage.py migrate. So now I can run the server again. I also want to do one more thing inside admin.py, and that is to register this model with the database with Python. So I have it in the Django admin interface. I can import it here by saying from.models import Oinker profile admin.site.register Oinker profile and save. Can just close this for now. And now that we have set up everything we need for the Oinker profiles, we can make it possible to sign up and log in. I will begin with the signing up functionality. So inside the views.py in the core folder, I want to create a new view here. Def sign up, just pass in the request. I want to check if the request method is post. So I say if request.method equals post. If it is, I want to get the data from the post user creation form. This is a class from Django. I will import it in 2 seconds. Just pass in the request.post data. So to use this, I need to import it at the top here from django.contrib.auth.forms import user creation form. So Django will handle a lot of things there in the backend for us. And then I want to check if the form is valid. If form.is valid, then I can create a new user by running form.save. When the user is saved, I want to log him in by just passing a request and then the user. This is also a function I need to import from here. So I just copy this, import login and save. So now if the form is valid, I will create a user and log him in, and then I want to redirect the user to the front page. Return redirect, just pass in front page like that. So this is also the last thing I need to import. I can just copy redirect and paste it behind shortcuts because it is a shortcut from Django. If the request isn't post, I want to just show the form. So then I say form equals user creation form and just empty like that. And then I return render request core/signup.html, create a dictionary form and pass in the form and save. With the view ready now, we can change the signup.html to show the form. So if I go back to signup.html, below here, I say form method post action. Action. You can just put a dot. And then I need to add in a CSRF token. This is something from Django to make it possible to not get a post request from other places. So it's a security feature. And then I just say form.sp, which is for paragraph, and a button to sign up. Button class button is success. Type submit, sign up and close it. So then the last thing I need to do is to go back to the urls.py file, which is located here, and import sign up. Then I can copy this whole path, say sign up, sign up, sign up, and sign up. So if I go to /sign up now, I will go to this view, but I want a button in the menu to go here. So if I just go back to the base.html, inside here, I want to create div class navbar menu. I want this to be located to the right on the screen, so therefore I use a class called navbar end, and then I say div class navbar item, div class buttons, because I want 2 of them, href URL sign up. So URL is a function from Django which takes a parameter sign up, which is this one, the name. So when I call the URL, it automatically get this from there and paste it in here for me in case I change it or something like that. Class button is success, because I want it to be green. I want it to have a bold font, sign up, and on the next line I want a button to the login. I don't have any URLs for that yet, but I can create a button is light log in and save. So now we can test this to create a new profile. If I refresh now, I can go to login. Now I can go to the sign up and I have the default Django's sign up view. So I can create a new user, codewithstein, and then a password, sign up. And I was redirected to the front page. This should mean that everything is working. Okay, then I just want to do a change in the menu so we can test if we are actually authenticated. So if I go back to base.html here, and inside this buttons, I can say if request.user.is authenticated, then, and if I'm not, I want to show these 2 buttons. Just close the end if, and here I want to say href URL log out. I will create this in a couple of seconds. Class button is danger, log out, and save. If I refresh now, I will get an error because I haven't created the logout view yet. I can do this inside the urls.py. On top here, I can just say from django.contrib.auth import views. And below the sign up, I say path logout, and here I want to use a view from this views. So I say views dot logout view as view name logout. So this is a default view from Django that lets me log out the user. So we can go ahead and try this. If I click there now, I will be redirected to the admin interface logout page, but this can be changed. So if I go back to the settings.py, by the way, settings.py is globally settings for the whole project. Up here, I can say logout redirect URL front page. So when someone logs out, you will be redirected to the front page. If I want to test this again, I need to include or implement the login view. So I can go to the login.html and show a login form here. Form method, post action, like that. Pass in the CSRF token again. Form as paragraph, and then a button, class button is success, type submit, log in. I don't need to create a view for this because I can just use Django's default login view. So if I go back to urls.py again, I can say path login views dot login view dot s view name login, and there's a couple of more things I need to do. I can go to settings.py and set login URL. So if I try to go to a page where I don't have access, I will be redirected here. Login, which is this name. Next, I just need to go back to base.html to set the URL here. So href URL, pass in the name of the view, like that. So if I now go to the front page again, click login. Okay, sorry, I forgot to set the template name in the URLs file. So here I should say template name core/login.html and save. Refresh, and now I see a default login view. Okay, so now I can log in with codewithstein, which was the user I created. Login. The page I was redirected to now doesn't exist yet. I want to change the default page to be redirected to something else, but to do this I need to create a new Django app. So I'm going to create a new app called feed. I begin with creating the folder apps feed, and then I create the app python manage.py start app feed. This should be located here. So then I can run the server again and go to the settings.py file to register this apps.feed and save. And then I will continue by going up here, finding the folder, creating a new view inside feed/view, def feed request return render request feed/feed.html. I will create this soon, but this is a page that requires login, and to do this I want to use a decorator called login required. I need to import this from Django as well, from django.contrib.auth.decorators import login required. So this is just an empty view for now, but I will add more here later. What I want to do now is make this the default page you are redirected to when you are signing in. So here I say login redirect URL feed. And then I need to import this view to the URLs section from apps.feed.views import feed. And I can add this below here. I want to separate it a little bit from this. Path, feed, and the name is also feed, like that. And then I just want to create an empty or a very simple template so we can test this. So I create a new folder, templates, because Django will look for it. And then a new folder feed, and inside there I create a new file feed.html. And this I also want to extend the base core/base.html, create a block content, and I want a div here, container, div class columns, div class column is 12, h1 class title my feed, and save. So now you can test this. I just want to add a link in the menu for this. So if I go back to base.html, I can copy this because I want it outside here. and if, and then I create a new link, href URL feed. This also need a class navbar item feed, and save. So now, just want to go and test this. Okay, something is wrong. Django contrib auth.decorator. Okay, this should probably be decorators in plural. Refresh, and now I can click feed, and I will be sent to my feed. If I log out, I will be sent to the front page, and if I log in again, I'm sent to my feed. It's perfect. The next step now will be to make it possible to add posts, or oinks as I will call them in this project. I will use the feed app for the oink database model. So if I go into feed and the models.py file, I can create them here. I want to import the user model from django.contrib.auth.models import user, and then I create a new class called oink. Pass in models.model, and here I want the body to be the oink itself, the text, models.char field, max length I want to just set to 255. I want the created by field, models.foreign key. This is the user related name, oinks, so I can get them by just saying user.oinks. On delete equals models.cascade. So when I delete user, I also delete its oinks. Created at should be a date time field, and I want this to be filled out automatically. So I just say auto now add equals true. I want to add a meta field here. This is options for the model. I just do this for the ordering. Ordering equals create a tuple minus created at. So the newest one is always at the top. And then a comma here since it's a tuple. So I can save this and just go back to the command line to update the database again. Make migrations. Python manage.py migrate. So now I created the model oink. So I can run the server again. Go back here and into admin.py. And I want to import this model to the Django admin interface. From .models import oink admin.site.register oink. So now I can go into the admin site to check this out. Refresh. Okay, just have to log in again. That's the wrong password. There. So here I have the oinker profiles and the oinks. There are no yet, but we will be adding them in the front end very soon. So now that we have that under control, it's time to create a form where we can add the oinks. By the way, have you subscribed to my channel? I would really appreciate it if you did. And if you like this video, please click like below because it really helps me grow the channel. So I will begin by including Vue.js to our project. So I go to base.html. And below the content, I create one more comment, scripts, and scripts, just to have a clean section, script, src. I will just use a cdn to include Vue.js, cdn.js, deliver.net, npm, vue, dist, vue.js, and close it. Below here I want to create one more block just like this so I can insert data here from sub pages. This should be called script. Oops, script like that. So now I can copy this and go to the feed.html, and below here paste this, and inside here I can create JavaScript. So I can do this by saying script and new view, create an instance of view. Element should be hashtag feed app. I can go up and add it here. ID feed app. Since Django and Vue.js both use double curly braces to insert data, I need to change this for the Vue.js. So I say delimiters, create an array. I like to use double braces like this because I think it's pretty. And then a data return. I want a list for the oinks and one for an empty body like that. Below here I want a method for submitting oink. So submit oink console.log submit oink like that. So that's the Vue.js right here. Up here I need to also do some changes. I can just remove this for now. And in here I say div class wrapper form v on colon submit.prevent submit oink. So when I submit this form, I want to call this method. In here I want the field for the body. Field div class control text area class text area. V model is body. Placeholder, what are you oinking? And close the text area like that. Below this field I want one more field for the button. Div class control button class button is success, so it's nice and green. Submit. And then below the form, below, and then below this div I want to create one more class. Div class wrapper oinks, and in here I want to loop through oinks in this list. Div class oink v for oink in oinks, and just a simple paragraph oink.body and save. Before I do anything more here, I just want to include some CSS to make this a little bit prettier. First I need to create a couple of folders and the CSS file. I create a new folder in the root here. New folder static, and inside the static I create one more folder called CSS, and inside there I create one file called main.css. Then I can add a background to the body just to check that everything is working. Body background F9 F9 F9, so it's light gray. To test this I need to go into settings.py and tell Django where to look for the static files. So below the static URL I say static files dirs equals, and then a list base dir /static. Save. And then I need to go into the base.html file again. On top here I said load static, so Django loads the static files, and then I need to include the file below Bulma. So I say link rel stylesheet href, then static css main.css and close it. So this function will look for a folder called CSS inside the static folder, and inside there a file called main.css. So I can save and go to the browser to test this. Yes, as you can see up here, I have a light gray background on the content. Then I want to add some more CSS to that file just to make sure that the oinks looks a little bit better. Dot wrapper oinks, margin top 30 pixels, wrapper oinks dot oink. So I select all of the oink inside of that wrapper, margin bottom 10 pixels, padding 20 pixels, border radius can be set to 4 pixels, and then the background should be white. I'm also going to use a name inside of the oink, so I select the dot name, font weight bold, and info, which is the date when it was added, font size 12 pixels, color AAA, like that. So to test how this would look, I need to change the feed a little bit. So over the text, I want to create a new paragraph, class name. In here I say oink.oinker, which is the name of the one who submitted, p class info oink.created at, and save. And I also need to do a little bit more down here in the Vue.js. Oinker, which is me, just pass in request.user.username, and created at can just be static now. So if I go here, refresh, nothing happens because I still don't have any oinks in the list, but I just wanted to see that there was no errors. But if I click submit, you will see that I call this function. So in here I can say if this.body.length is greater than 0, then I want to create a new object called oink, create a body, this.body, oinker, this.oinker, these are references to these fields, created at, this.created at, and then I can close that like that. Below here I said this.oink, oinks.unshift, oink. So I put the oink I just created at the beginning of the list instead of the end. Below here I want to send to backend for saving. And when this is done, I say this.body equals empty, just to reset it. So if I refresh now, testing, submit, get the admin, which is me, test, and it was just submitted. Perfect. So it looks a little bit better now. We can see who wrote the oink and similar. Next step now is to create an API endpoint to receive the data and to add it to the database. So I go back to Visual Studio Code, and inside feed I want to create a new file called api.py. I want to keep things as simple as possible so I don't feel the needs to implement Django Rest Framework or something similar. The reason why I put this in a file called api.py instead of the regular views.py is that I want to separate the views used for JSON response. You can call this file whatever you want, it's just that when you see api.py you immediately understand what it is there for. So first I want to import JSON, and I want to import a couple of Django modules from django.http import JSON response from django.contrib.auth.decorators. Import login required because this view here requires login. So I can just set that like it. just at login required, and then def API add oink request, and inside here I want to get the data from the request, so I say data equals json.loads request.body, body, which is the oink, equals data body, and then I create a new oink by saying oink equals oink.objects.create body equals body created by equals request.user. Also need to import this model, so I can say from.models import oink. I can say .models because I'm in the same folder as the models.py file. And when oink is created, I can say return JSON response success true and save. And then I need to import this view into the urls.py from apps.feed.api import API add oink. I can add them below here, API path API / add oink. Then I pass in the name or the view and set a name for this and save. And then the last step is to submit the data using JavaScript or Vue.js. So I go back to feed.html. Below here, I call a function called fetch API add oink, which is the route or URL we just created. Method should be set to post. Headers. Content type is application/JSON, and then XCSRF token. This is just some security. CSRF token, like that. We also set credentials to same origin. Body JSON.stringify, and that should be this dictionary or list, like that. Okay, sorry, there we have it. And when this is done, we call a function then response fat arrow function console.log response, so we can see it in the console what happens. And if there are any errors, we want to catch these. Error console.log error and save. So everything seems to be working here. So I can go to the browser and refresh. Okay, that doesn't look correct. We shouldn't see this. Yeah, here it's missing a parenthesis. It's there. So then I can save, refresh. Okay, now it looks good. So first oink, test this, submit. We got the 200 status back from the server. Everything seems to be okay. If I refresh, it's gone, and that's because we don't have any functionality to get the oinks from the database yet. But at least it's working. So if I go here, refresh, you'll see that the first oink created by admin is in the database. So since everything is working now, I can start working on getting the oinks from the database. So if I go back to views.py inside feed, I can import a model up here from .models import oink, and inside the feed I say user IDs equals pass in mine request.user ID because I want to get oinks that I have written as well. So for oinker in request.user.oinkerprofile.follows user IDs.append oinker.user.id. So what happens here is that I loop through everyone I follows. Not that I follow anyone yet, but it's just for later. And for everyone I follow, I append their user ID to this list. And then I get the oinks from the database by saying oinks equals oink.objects.filter created by ID __ if one of those IDs is inside the list user IDs, and save. Oh, sorry, I don't need to save yet because I need to add a dictionary below here like that. So now the oinks should be available at the front end. So I can go back to feed.html again, and above here I can loop through them by saying for oink in oinks, and for, just like to close this before I do anything more, div class oink p class name oink dot created by dot username, and paragraph oink dot body p class info created at oink dot created at, and close this and save. So if I go back to the browser now, refresh, we will see the oink I created a couple of minutes ago. The date format doesn't look good, so I want to implement the Django filter called natural time. Django has this functionality already, but I need to activate it. You could also use a filter called time since, but I don't like this as much as natural time. You can try both and see which one you like best. To activate it, I go to settings.py, and inside installed apps I say django.contrib.humanize and save. And on top of feed I say load humanize like that, and after created that I just say pipe natural time, save. So if you now see this date and I refresh, just at 4 minutes ago, it's perfect, it looks much better. Okay, to make it possible to find other oinkers, I want to add a search. The search view can be located in the feed app as well, so we can just go to views.py, login. Do I need login for this? Yes, login required. Def search request. Then I get the query from the parameters, now from the URL request.get query. This shouldn't crash if it's empty, so therefore I add this. If then query greater than 0. I don't want to run it if it's empty. Oinkers equals user.objects.filter username I contains equals query. So it gets all username that contains the query. I set I because it's not case sensitive. Else oinkers equals just the empty list. Then I want to create a dictionary for the query and the oinkers. Next I need to return and render this. Pass in the request parameter feed/search.html and add context here. So next step will be to create a template, search.html. Just want to go up here and copy this. Don't need a feed app. Just close this. Sorry, div and block. Can add a title here. h1 class title search. Below there I want to show the search term. Query. Just add a line to separate the top from the content. In here I want the search form method, get action, can be the same page, but just to be sure as a URL, search, close the form, div class field. Since this is a get and not post, we don't need a CSRF token. Div class control, input type text, class input, name is query, value, pass in the query. Like that, so then I can close these two. Below that field I want a button for submitting the form. Div class field, div class control, button class button is success, so it's green, search. Below the form I want to list out the oinkers. Div class search results. Loop through them by saying for oinker in oinkers. Just add a paragraph. Oinker dot username and for, and save. If I refresh now, I should also add a button up here in the base. So next to here I say href URL search, close it, close navbar item search and save. So the last thing I need to do now before I can test this is to go down to urls.py and import the view search next to the feed. I can copy this, just say search, replace and save. So now I have a new menu item, search admin, name user is not defined. Okay, I might have forgotten to import the user model up here. Yes, from django.contrib.auth.models import user. Just to refresh, and now I have the admin user because I search for admin. If I search for codewithstein will appear here. So we have made a lot of functionality now, but there are still a ton of things left to do. The next thing I will implement is profile. I want to make it possible to visit a profile so I can see the profile's oinks, followers, and who the profile is followed by. Also want to make it possible to follow a profile and similar. The first step is to create a view for this. Okay, if I go to views.py inside the oinker profile, I can begin by importing two things from Django. From django.contrib.auth.models import user, and I can also add get object or 404 as a shortcut behind or after render. Then I can create a view, def oinker profile request and a username. And then I get the user from the database by saying user equals get object or 404, pass in the user model, and username equals username. If that user doesn't exist, I will get a 404 error. Context, just create the empty, no, simple dictionary. User, return, render, request, oinker profile / oinker profile.html, and pass in the context and save. So then I can import this to the URLs file. Below here, say from apps.oinker profile.views import oinker profile. And I can add this below here, path u, I want to be prefixed with u, and then I will get the str, which is a string, and the name of that should be username. This is a reference to this username here. Slash, and then pass in that name of the view and also set the name like this. So then I can save that, and then I can go up again here, create a new folder inside there, templates, and inside the templates folder create one more, oinker profile, and inside that oinker profile.html, which is the template name. I want this to extend the base template just like everyone else. Extends core/base.html. I want to load humanize because I want to show that here too. Block content and block. Then I begin by creating a container. Div class columns. Div class column is 12. H1 class title. Then user.username. I want to show that as the title. Create one more columns. Div class column is 8. I don't want this to be as wide as this one. Div class wrapper oinks. And in here I want to loop through all this user's oinks. So I say for oink in user.oinks.all. So I don't need to go to the back end to get these. I can just say this. Div class oink, oink, like that. P class name oink dot created by dot username. P oink dot body. P class info oink dot created at pipe natural time, and save. So, but before I continue, I just want to add a button in the menu so I can go to my own profile. So I can go back to base.html, and after feed, create a href URL oinker profile, and then I just pass in my own username, request.user.username, class close, navbar item, profile, and save. So if I refresh now, I will get a new button up here. Okay. Forgot to do something in the Oinker profile. This should be end 4, of course. So now I see the username and all of the oinks from this user. Maybe we should also add a counter to see how many the user follows and are followed by. So up here, I can say p followers user.oinker profile.followed by.count and follows user.oinker profile.follows.count. Save. Okay, I have 0 followers and I follow 0 person. While we're at it, let's make it possible to actually follow a user. So below here, I can test if I am this user. If user not equals request.user, because I don't want to follow myself. href follow oinker. Oops, URL follow oinker user.username class button is success, so it's nice and green. Follow and save. Now I need to create this view. So if I go back to views.py in the Oinker profile folder, I can say def follow Oinker request, pass in the username, and I can get the user just like I did up here. And then I can say request.user.oinker profile, because I want this to be added to mine. Follows.add user.oinker profile. So I add this user's Oinker profile to the list of Oinker profiles I follows. Then return redirect Oinker profile username equals username. So I'm redirected back to the user I was at. This should definitely require login, so I need to import the decorator from django.contrib.auth.decorators. Import login required and save. So now I just need to import this to the URLs. And then I say path view str username follow, pass in the view and then give it a name and save. So now we can test this. So I don't have any buttons here, but if I go to codewithstein, okay, reverse not found. Okay, yeah, sorry, I forgot to add this one. So now I see a follow button. If I click it, redirect was not defined, sorry. Should be added up here as a shortcut. So there. Now I have the followers 1. So codewithstein has 1 followers. If I go back to mine, I see follows 1. Perfect. So now we can also make it possible to stop following a user. So I can go back to views.py and say login required def unfollow oinker request username, and it's almost the same code as up here, so I can just copy all of that. But instead of saying add here, I say remove and save. And that's it. So I can copy this now, go to the URLs, import and follow oinker up here. And I can also just copy all of this. So unfollow, unfollow, and unfollow. So now we have the possibility to unfollow a user, but also need to change the template a little bit. So inside here, I need to check if I actually follow this user. If request.user.oinker profile in user.oinker profile dot followed by dot all, else I will show this button. And if my profile isn't in the list of followed by, I will show a stop button or unfollow URL unfollow oinker user.username clause button is danger unfollow and save. So now we can test this. Yes, I have unfollow button and this number goes up and down. That's perfect. So everything seems to be working, so we can continue to the next task. And the next task is to make it possible to see a list of followers when oinker is following. So I want to be able to click this to see the list. I will begin by creating the view. So I can go into views.py and say def followers request username and get the user like this again. Return render request oinker profile / followers.html. Just pass in this user, save. Then I can create the template followers.html. I can go in here and just copy a little bit so I don't have to write all of this again. Then just close these. Just prefix this with followers. Below here I want to show the number of followers just so I know it. User.oinker profile.followed by.count. Below here, create the new columns. Div class column is 8. And here I want to loop through the oinker who this oinker is following. So I say for oinker in user.oinker profile.followed by.all. And for, just close that loop. P a href, so I can click this profile. URL oinker profile oinker.user.username. 'Username. 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 ' close the link, oinker.user.username, like that. Also, I can use a cool template function that Django has. I said just say empty p. Sorry, you don't have any followers. But this isn't something I want to see if I'm on someone else's profile. So I need to check here if request.user equals user. Then I want to see this. If I'm on someone else's profile, I want to see user.username doesn't have any followers. And then I close this like that. And then I can create a link from the Oinker profile to this. So up here, say href URL followers, pass in the user.username, and I can close the link after there. And then I save it, and then I need to import followers into the URLs. That's the last thing I need to do before I test this. Just copy one of these followers, and the name is followers. So if I refresh now, there's something wrong. Followers is not defined. No, because I forgot to import it up here. Refresh. Now I can click here. Followers for codewithstein, number is 1, and there is the user. So perfect. Now I can do the same for the follows. So I go back to views.py, and I can copy this. I can just say follows, and save. Maybe have a D here so it's correct. I can just import this so I don't forget it. Import. And then I copy this path. Follows. And I can create, now I can copy this template. Follows.html, and then I need to replace a couple of things here like that, and then I need to say .follows there, and I want to loop through follows. Sorry, you don't follow anyone, that's not correct. It should just be you don't follow anyone. And username isn't following anyone, like that. Last step is to go back to Oinker profile, and I can copy this link, paste it before follows, and close it behind there and save. So now I can test this. Follows. So perfect. Now I have a good loop, so I can go through all the profiles like this. Also want to make it possible to click this user. So if I go to search.html, before here, href URL Oinker profile, Oinker.username, and close like that. Refresh. So now I can click this. It's perfect. I want to make it possible to have profile pictures. To do this, I need to create a new field on the Oinker profile model. So below the follows field, I create one more, avatar equals models.image field, upload to uploads. And then I want to make it possible to have these empty, so I set blank equals true and null equals true in case the user don't want an avatar. So I can save this. Before I do this, I need to make sure that I have Pillow installed. This is a package Python uses to handle images. So to install it, as a pip install Pillow. Then I can update the database again. Python manage.py, make migrations. And Python manage.py migrate. So now I got a new field avatar on the Oinker profile. The next step is to create a profile edit page. I will create a link in the base.html to this first. So if I just go up here, base.html, and the last link here can be href URL edit profile, like that. Just close this, class navbar item edit profile, and save. And then I can create a form and a view for this. I will use something called a model form. This is a class from Django that helps us generate a form based on a database model. I will begin by creating a new file called form inside Oinker profile. New file forms.py. And then I need to import forms from Django. From Django import forms. And I need to import a model from .models import Oinker profile. And then the class Oinker profile form, pass in forms.model form. In here I create one more class, meta, which is just options for the form. Model equals Oinker profile, and the fields I want to show here is avatar. So since this is a tuple, I need to add a comma here since that requires more than one field. And we can save this. So copy this, close it. It's not very complicated, but it does the job. This will generate a form with one field which helps us upload files. So if I go now to views.py, on the top here I can import this form from .forms import Oinker profile form. And then I can create one more view. First add the login required decorator, def edit profile, pass in the request parameter. I want to check if the request method is post, and if it is, as a form equals Oinker profile form request.post request.files. And since we're updating this form and not creating a new one, I need to set the instance equals request.user.oinker profile. So I pass in the data we already have and merge it with these two. So if the form is valid, then I call form.save. So now the form is saved, and I can return the user to its profile. Return, redirect. You see that I have this imported up here. Yes. I want to return it to the view called oinker profile, and then I pass in username equals request username. If the form isn't valid, I say else. No, sorry. If the request isn't post, I say else form equals oinker profile, and I pass in instance here as well. Request.user.oinker profile. Down here, I want to create a dictionary context equals, then pass in user request.user form is form, and then I need to return and render this. Return render request oinker profile / edit profile.html and pass in the context dictionary and save. Next I need to create the oinker profile edit form. So I create a new file, edit profile.html. You can just go in here and copy a little bit, so I don't have to write all of this again. Title can be edit profile. And block. I don't need humanize here, so I can remove that. Below here, I want to check if the user has an avatar. If user.oinker profile.avatar figure class image is 128 times 128. This is a Bulma class that sets the image to be maximum width of 128 and maximum height of 128. Image source user.oinkerprofile.avatar.url. This will automatically generate the path to the image. And if below here I need to include the form method post enc type multi-part / form data. We need this because we're going to use files post action dot. Since this is a post request, we need to include the CSRF token. Then we show the form as a paragraph, and then a button. Div class field in here, div class control button class button is success. Save changes. Div like that. Okay. I need to do a little change in the settings file as well, because you need to tell Django where the uploads folder is located. So just save this template file, go into settings.py, and at the bottom here with the static files, we say media URL, media, just like the static files, media root equals base dir / media. The last step now is to include this page and the media files in the URLs section. So go into urls.py. I need to import a couple of things from django.conf import settings, so I can reach the settings variables, and I need to import from django.conf.urls urls.static import static, and at the bottom of the URL patterns I say plus static settings dot media URL document root equals settings dot media root. So this will help me serve media files in development. When we are going live, we're going to use AJAX instead of this development server to to host the files. And then soon ready, just need to import the edit profile view, edit profile, and I need to edit below here. So now I can just say path edit profile name, edit profile, and save. So now we can go and test this. If I now refresh, there is a okay, I do start server again, refresh, edit profile. So now I can choose file, just go into oink oink, find my profile picture, save changes. Okay, so now it's redirected back to my profile. I want to show the profile picture here, but I just want to check here that it's working, and yes, it is. So that's perfect. So I can go back to the edit profile file, copy this, and go into oinkyourprofile.html, and below the username I can just now save, refresh, and now it's showing here too. Can add the HR below to separate it a little bit. That's perfect. So I want to show this avatar other places as well. For example, below here in the loop for oinks, I want to change this a little bit. So in here I said article class media, figure class media left, p class image is 64 times 64, and here I want to check. I can just copy this and img src user.oinkerprofile.avatar.url and div, and change this a little bit more. Div class media content, div class content p strong, and here I want to insert the username below or next to it as a small, and this is the time, like that, br for break line, oink.body. I can just remove this and save. So now the oinks looks a little bit better. I can copy this and make sure that it looks this way inside the feed as well. So if I go up to feed.html and paste it here, sorry, It was supposed to be inside the class oink, like that. But here I need to change a little bit, because I need to say oink.createdBy.oinkerProfileAvatar. So just replace this and save. So I think I can go to feed. Yes, it's working there as well. And I need to update this view here too. I can copy again, paste it, just simplify it a little bit, like that. Oink.body should be there. Oink created it. Then I can remove these. And here, just remove this test. And almost all of this can go away as an image. And as a src like this, because I want to bind this to oink.avatar. And save. So now I think everything there should be okay, but I need to change the script also, because I need a field called avatar. If request.user.oinkerprofile.avatar, request.user.oinkerprofile.avatar URL, and if, and inside this oink array, say avatar, this.avatar, and save. So refresh, testing, submit. Okay, it was added there. That's almost good. It's just that I want these to be above the old ones. So just move it up here like that and save. So now we have everything we need for the profile pictures. One thing I think is missing is the possibility to like an oink. To make this possible, I need to add one more data model to the feed app. So I go into models.py, below the oink, create a new model class, like, models.model. I need a reference to the oink. Oink equals models.foreign key, oink related name, likes, on delete, models.cascade. So when we delete an oink, we also delete its like. Created by, I can actually just copy these two and replace the likes like that. Also, I don't think I need any ordering there, so I can just save and go to the command line and update the database, barring make migrations, and then migrate. Then I can run the server again. I don't think I need to register this with the Django admin interface. I want the like to be sent to the server using Vue.js. So the first thing I need to do is to create a new API function. So in here, I create a new one. Login required. Whoops. Def API add like request. I need to copy this. Oink ID equals data oink ID, and then I want to check that the user hasn't already liked the oink. If not like.objects.filter oink id equals oink id dot filter created by equals request dot user exists. So it checks if there is a like with this oink id and it's created by you. And if it's not, we create a new one saying like equals like objects dot create oink id equals oink id and created by is request dot user. JSON response equals success to set this to true. Alright, like that. Return JSON response and pass in there. I can actually just do this so it's a little bit cleaner and save. And then I need to import this to the URLs so we can access it from the front end. Just import it there. And then I can copy this path, add like, and like. So now we can access it from the front end. So everything on the back end is ready, so we can add a button for this on the oinks. So if I go to feed.html and go in here into the loop in the 4 oinks, below here there's a br a at click like oink oink.id, need to pass this in, v if not liked oinks dot includes oink dot id like, sorry, close like. So we check if this oink is in the list of liked oinks, so we only show this if it's not in that list. Span if liked oinks dot includes. So again we check if the oink list, now we check if the oink id is in the list of liked oinks. So we pass in oink dot id liked. So we don't show the button if we have liked it, we just want to show a text. And then I want to show the number of likes. So set a custom ID so we can access the content. Oink.likes.count likes and save. And then I need to go down and change and add some script below. And then I need to go down to the data array to create the likes array. Likes, oh sorry, liked oinks. Then I say for oink in oinks, if oink.liked oink.id, add a comma here, and if, and for. So here we loop through the oinks, and if we have liked this oink, we add this to the list of liked oinks. So I'll show you this attribute in a minute. Just want to finish the submit like oink or like oink function. this dot liked oinks dot push parse int, so we know it's an integer oink ID, and then we can send this to the back end. I want to create a dictionary var oink equals oink ID, then use fetch to send this API, add like, this is the path we just created, method, just copy this, actually, yeah, we can just copy the whole function and paste it like that. Yes, oink oink, so everything here should work. And then I want to update the number of likes, so the const el, which is just short for element, document.get element by ID, likes plus oink ID. This will get this field here, this small, so I want the content of this. Const likes equals parse int element.inner html dot split, so we can remove the likes text like that, plus 1 el.inner html equal likes plus likes, and save. So this will increment the number of likes with 1 and then append this text at the end. In the views.py file, if I go there where I loop through the oinks, I need to check if I have liked it. So here I say for oink in oinks, likes equals oink.likes.filter created by ID equals request.user.id if likes.count is greater than 0, oink.liked equals true, else oink.liked equals false, and save. So I think I can go to the browser now to test this. If I refresh, there is nothing here, so I've done something wrong. Okay, there's a typo in the click. Click. Yes, that looks better. Okay, so if I now click like, it says 1 likes, but I got the internal server error because like is not defined, and that's because I forgot to import like there. So we can refresh, try again. No. Manager has no created, no. Sorry. Create, sorry for the typos. Okay, now it seems to be working. So it says liked and 1 likes. If I refresh, it still says liked. So perfect, that means everything is working. So then I can go to the Oinker profile and do the same thing there. So if I scroll down, go into views.py, and inside the Oinker profile, I say oinks equals user.oinks.all for, I can copy this, I don't need to type all of this again. like that. And I need to add this to the context and save. And then I need to go into the oinker profile.html because now I can't loop through like this. To just replace this with oinks and save. And then I need to copy this and paste it behind or below the body. And I also need to copy the parts below here, this one, so I know which one is liked. Okay, I actually don't have any scripts here, so I can copy all of the script tag from feed and clean some because I don't need a submit like that, but I need a like. I can remove these. Oinker profile app, and I need to set an app ID here and save. So now I think we can go to a profile as well to test this. So my own profile, try to click a like there. Yes, it's working. Perfect. So now we have likes in our project. I want to improve the search a little bit because I want to make it possible to search directly from up here in the menu. So if I go to base.html and above here I create a new element, div class navbar start, div class navbar item, and in here I create a form method, get action URL search, and to point it to that path, div class field has add-ons, div class control, input type text class input, placeholder is search, name query, and then below this control create one more class control, which should be the submit button, a class button class button is success, so it's nice and green, search. That's it, but I want to just remove the link because we don't need that anymore. Refresh, search, and it's working. It's perfect. I also want to make it possible to search for oinks as well. So if I go back to the views.py in feed, instead of just searching for oinkers, I also want to search for oinks. So in here I say oinks equals oink.objects.filter body I contains query oinks, and pass it in the context so we have it in the front end as well. So then I can go into search.html, and on top here in the search results I want to say if not oinkers and not oinks, show a paragraph, no results. Please try a different search term like that, L and F. And then I want to check if there are any oinkers, if oinkers, and I want to show a title strong oinkers. I can loop through like that. And if below here to loop through the oinks. So I say if oinks and if, and I want the title here as well, strong oinks div class wrapper oinks, then loop through them for oink in oinks and for, and I think I can copy the one from the feed because it's very similar. So I just copy all of this, go back to search and paste it in the loop. But I don't need a like inside here, so I can just do that. I also want to make it possible to click to click a link, sorry, to click the username. So here I want to say href URL oinker profile oink.createdby.username, and then I close it after there and save. So we can test this now. Bod probably is wrong, it should be body. Okay, so test. So here we get the tests and I can click this one. Perfect. I want to make it possible to click them as well here in the profiles and in the feed. So I can just copy this, go to the feed, paste it there and close it behind like that. And I don't need that in the oinker profile because you are already in a profile. But if I now click feed, I can also click them out there. So now the search works a lot better than it did. Perfect. Another important thing for a social network is the possibility to send direct messages. So now I'll make this possible. I will begin by creating a new Django app. So I stop the server, create a new folder, apps/conversation, python manage.py, start app, conversation, should be located here. Hit enter, and then I can go to the settings file and register this with Django. So up here, apps.conversation, like that. So now Django knows that it exists. So now it's time to set up the database models. So if I go into apps, conversations, models, first I want to import the user model from django.trib.auth.models import user class conversation models.model. This should have a users field, models.many to many field, so I can add both the users in the conversation. User related name equals conversations. And I also want a modified field, so I can sort them. Modified at models.datetime field, auto now equals true. So instead of saying auto now add, I say auto now, so it's changed every time I save an object. Class meta ordering, create a list, minus or dash modified at. I also want one model for the conversation message. Conversation message models.model, and here I want a reference to the conversation, so I say conversation equals models.foreign key, copy and paste the object, related name equals messages on delete models.cascade. So when delete a conversation, we also delete the messages. Content is the message itself. This should be a text field, models.text field. I want to create at models.datetime field, auto now add equals true. So this will be added automatically when we create a message created by, this will be the sender, models.foreign key, user, related name, messages, on delete, models.cascade. It might be stupid to delete the messages when we delete the user, but it will do for now. I want a class meta here as well. Ordering created at, so we have the newest one at the bottom, like that. And then every time I send a new message, I want to save this, so it's get changed every time. To do this, I say def save self args koargs self.conversation.save. So I call the save function on this object, so it will trigger and modify that, will change. Super conversation message, so I save this too. Save args koargs and save. So now I can update the database, make migrations, migrate, and run server. I can also import this to the Django admin interface from .models import conversation and conversation message, admin.site register, admin.site.register message. Nice. So everything with the database seems to be working now. So we can create a basic view for the conversations. So I can just copy this import, go to views.py and paste it here. Also want to import the login required decorator from django.contrib.auth.decorators, import login required, create a new view, def conversations request. Then I want to get all the conversations for the logged in user, request.user.conversations.all. I can say conversations because in the models we have this related name, which is an index in the database. Return render request conversation / conversations.html, pass in to conversations like that. Perfect. So now I just want to add this to the URL patterns. So copy the name of the view, scroll up here from apps.conversation.views, import conversations. You can add this under edit profile, path conversations / pass in the view and give it a name, save. Then I can create a folder and a template for this. So if I scroll up again, create a new folder in here, templates, new folder in there, conversation, And then the template name conversations.html. So I can probably just go ahead and copy the top of a different template. Close it. And the block. Title here should be conversations. Below the title I want a conversation list, div class conversations list. In here I want to loop through all the conversations, so for conversation in conversations. Just close this before I forget it. Div class conversations list item, and here I want to get the other person's username, so I need to loop through the users in the conversation for user in conversation.users.all. If user not equals request.user, then I know it's the other user, so I can print the user.username, conversation.modified at, pipe it into the natural time filter. So I need to load humanize like that, so we get a more pretty time. Close the end if and close this end for. If there are no conversations, you can use the empty tag like this, just say no conversations and save. Last but not least, we need to add a button for this up in the menu. So if I open up base.html and after the feed I say href URL conversations class navbar item conversations, save. So if I now go to the command line, okay, here is an error. This is views.py. Here should be an equal sign. And then I can run the server. We go to the oink oink page and now have no conversations. So the next step will be to add a button on the Oinker profiles to send direct messages. So I can now go to Oinker profile.html, and I only want to make it possible to send message if the profile isn't mine. So in here I check this already, and I can say AJAX URL conversation. We'll create this soon. Pass in user.id. This is the other user's ID. Class button is info. Send message. So I can't actually test this because I need to create this view. So I can go back to views.py inside the conversations. Also want this to require a login. Request. Here I want the user ID. So the first thing I want to do now is to get all the conversations for my own user. Conversation.object.filter users in request.user.id. So now I get all conversation where my user ID is inside the users, which is this field. And then I can change this again to say conversations equals conversations.filter users in user ID, which is this one, which is the other user's ID. I do this to check if there are a conversation already. If not, I want to create one. So if conversations.count is 1, we have a conversation, so we can just say conversation equals conversations 0, else. So I get the first one in the list, which should be just 1. If not, I want to get the user recipient equals user.objects.get pk equals user ID. Conversation equals conversation.objects.create. Just create an empty one. And here I want to add, users.add request.user, which is me. Conversation.users.add recipient. So I add the other user as well. Conversation.save. So now it should be ready to be used. Return render request conversation/conversation.html. Just pass in the conversation. Save. So now I can import this view to the URLs pattern. Just scroll up, paste this there. And I can copy this. After the slash, I want an integer called user ID, which is this one. And I want the conversation view and give it the name conversation. So then I can save, and then it's just the template left here. So if I can just go in here now to the conversations and just copy the top, create a new file, conversation.html, close everything here and block and save. And inside here I want to loop through all the messages. So I first create a div class messages just to wrap them, and then I loop through for message in conversation.messages.all, and I get them this way because in the models I added this related name messages, which is index. So that should be working. Div class oink, I just give it class oink so I get the same style as every other places. Article class media div, and then I want the figure class media left. P class image is 64 times 64. If the user has a profile picture, I want to show it. If message.createdby.oinker profile.avatar, just close the end. Img src message dot created by dot oinker profile dot avatar dot url. So then we should show that image there. Div class media content, div class content, paragraph strong to show the name at the top, message.createdby.username, and after that I say small message.created at pipe natural time, the line break message.content, and every field here is closed. And then below this for loop, I want to loop through the view messages. So here I say div class oink v4 message in messages. I will create this soon. Then I can just copy all of this and remove this line, because I know this will be my picture. So I can change this to message.avatar, and to get that I need to bind the src to this field. Here I can say message.oinker and message.created at. I know this is a long template, but we will test it soon. And message.content. Save. And then the last thing, and then below this div I want to create an HR just to separate the submit form v on submit.prevent. This is the send message form. Submit message. Sorry, like that. Div class field, div class control, text area, class text area, v model content, placeholder your message. Then we can close the text area. Below this I want to show a button. Div class control, button class button is primary, so it's nice and green. Send. Oh, sorry, it will be success. So then it's nice and green. So I forgot one thing at the top here, and that is to set ID conversation app. Save. So we can test this now, I think, just to see that everything is working. Code. So I go to codewithstein, send a message. Name user is not defined. Okay. Okay, I forgot to include the user model from django.contrib.auth.models import user. Refresh. Okay, I have a typo. Sorry. Conversation natural time should be. Okay, it's almost working, but we need to add some more view, but we have the template is working. Okay, so if I go below here, let's say block script, close the block, script, new, I can say var conversation app equals new view. Element should be conversation app, which we just set up here. Also need to add the delimiters here. And a data array. Messages can be an empty array for now. Content, which is the text area. Oinker, which is me. Request.user.username. Created at, can just hard code now. Avatar. If request.user.oinker profile.avatar. I want to add the URL request.user.oinker profile.avatar. and if, and I want the method to submit the the message to the backend. So I create a new methods, submit message. If this.content.length, don't want to submit it if it's 0 characters, var message equals content, and this.content oinker, this.oinker created at this.created at avatar, this.avatar, and then I want to append this to the beginning of the list, this.messages unshift message, and when that's done I want to send it to the backend. Fetch API add message, method is post, and now I need to set the headers, content type, application /JSON, XCSRF token, CSRF token, credentials, same origin, and then the body JSON.stringify message, which is this. Then I need to call this response, create a fat arrow function, console.log response, and if there are any errors I want to catch them. Like that, and then a console.log error, and when it's sent in I want to empty it, so empty the content field. I said this.content equals empty. If I go to the browser now, we wouldn't see much since there are no data there, but I can create a view for the API so we can test this more. If I add this now, nothing happens. Okay, I also have a problem with the URL. For the image, it's supposed to say URL there. If I refresh, try again, looks much better, but I still need to fix the API endpoint. So inside the conversation, I need to create a new file, api.py, import JSON from django.http, import JSON response from django.contrib.auth.decorators, import login required. Then I can create a new view, def API add message request. Also I need to import the conversation message model, conversation message data equals json.loads request.body, content equals data content, conversation ID equals data conversation ID. Then I create a new message by saying message equals conversation message dot objects dot create, conversation ID is this one, content equals content created by equals request dot user. And then I can return JSON response success true and save. Then I need to import this to the URLs section from apps.conversation.api import and I can add it down here, path, API, add message, pass in the view, and then add a name and save. So now I can refresh. First message, send. Okay, I got an error. Sorry, I forgot to add the slash there. Okay, try again. First. Okay, now I got the 500 error because I forgot to add the conversation ID in the API. It should be added in here. Sorry. So if I just do this, then I can say conversation.id, I think, because I have the conversation from Django. So we can try that. Refresh first. So now we got the 200, which means everything should work. So when I refresh, I get it from the database. Okay, now I just want to add a link from the conversation inbox to the conversation detail page. So here I can wrap this paragraph in here in a link, href, URL, conversation, and then I pass in user.id, and then I paste it there, save. So if I now go to conversations, I will see that I have a conversation with codewithstein. Click, and here it is. Perfect. Right now, if I get a new message or someone new is following me, I don't know about it before I check. It's time to introduce notifications. At least every time we refresh the screen, we can see it in the menu if there are any new notifications. I will begin by creating a new Django app. So stop the server, make a new folder, apps, notification, Python, manage.py, start app, notification, apps, notification. I can also register this with Django in the settings.py file, apps.notification, and save. So now I can set up the database model. So scroll up and find the notification folder and models.py. So first I import the user model from django.contrib.auth.models import user class notification models.model. Then I want to set up some choices here. If it's a message notification, or if it's a new follower, or if it's a like. Then I set up a new tuple with all of these. Message. This label will just show in the menu in the Django admin interface. Like that. And then I need a couple of fields for the model. To user, this is the receiver, models.foreign key, user related name, notifications, on delete, models.cascade, notification type equals models.char field, max length equals 20, choices. Here I want to make it possible to select between these three. Is red. I want to make it possible to see if the notification is red or not. Models dot boolean field default equals false. created at equals models.datetime field, auto now add equals true, created by equals models.foreign key, user related name, created notifications on delete, models.cascade, models delete, like that. Then I want to add a meta clause to set up the ordering, minus created at, so the newest one is on top. So now I can save this and update the database, make migrations, and python manage.py migrate. Perfect. I can run the server again. I can also register this model with the Django admin interface from .models import notification admin.site register notification and save. I want to create a utility file where I add notifications to the database. This utility file can be referenced from other places in the app or the project. So inside the notification folder, create a new file, utilities.py, and here I import the database model like that. Def create notification, pass in the request, the to user, and which notification type to create. Then I create it by saying notification equals notification.objects.create, to user equals to user, notification type equals notification type, created by equals request.user, and save. If I now go to the API file for the conversations, I can implement this for new messages, api.py, and up here I first import it from apps.notification.utilities, import create notification, like that. And then I need to loop through the users so I know who to send it to. To user equals none, for user in message.conversation.users.all, if user not equals request.user, I can actually just send it in here or create it there, so I don't need that. And then I just say request, user, and message. This is the type of notification. So now I can see there is no error. I can try to send a message to codewithstein. Hi again. Send. Okay, I got an error. Conversation attribute is no. Okay. This is in api.py. Message.conversation. Hi again. Okay, so now it was added. It's perfect. If I go to the admin interface now, I can see in here that there are one notification to codewithstein. It's a type message. It's not read yet, and it's created by me, which is admin. Perfect. So I want to add this functionality when we start following another user. So if I go to the Oinker profile, views.py, and up here import from apps, I can just go to API and copy this like that. And then below here, when we follow an Oinker, create notification, request, and then the user, follower, and save. And then I do the same with the likes. So if I go to feed, views.py, and first import the create notification, and then I go, no, it's not here, it's in the API.py. There, sorry. Say there, and down here, inside here where we have done the like, create notification, request, and oink. Okay, that's not gonna work. I need to get the oink first. Oink equals oink.objects.get pk oink id, and then I just pass in the oink like this. I say created by like. So the one who created the oink I like should get a like, should get the notification. So that's perfect, there's no errors. So now let's make it possible to get the notification a place up in the menu. Since the menu is always available on all pages, I don't want to include a new query set for all the views. So I want to use something called a context processor. This is globally available data in Django. I begin by creating a new file inside the notification app called contextprocessors.py. Contextprocessors.py. In here is the from.models import notification. Create a new function def notification request if request that user is authenticated, sorry. Then I want to return notifications request.user.notifications. Those filter is red equals false. If it's not authenticated, I just want to return an empty list like this. Before I can use this, I need to register this in the Django settings file. So I go down here, I find the templates list, and at the bottom of context processors here, I say apps.notifications.notifications like that. Save. Everything still looks okay. Now it's time to show this up in the menu. So if I go to base.html, and before the feed, here I can say AJAX URL notifications. I want this to link to a page. Class navbar item notifications. And here I want to show the notifications count. So I say notifications.count. This is a reference to this, so it should be notifications, sorry, like that. And this should be also plural. Did I say that there? Yes, so here I did it correct. So now if I try to refresh, I think I get an error. Yes, because I haven't, bool object is not callable. That was not the error I expected. So I will come back to it. I just want to create a folder and template and a view for the notifications. So in the notification folder, create a new folder, templates and notification, and a template called notifications.html. I can just copy a little bit here. Notifications. And block. And top, I can first say if not notifications, lowercase n, p, no, you have no notifications, and if div class wrapper oinks, want to loop through them inside here for notification in notifications, and then I say article class media, figure class media left, p class image is 64 x 64, if notification dot created by dot oinker profile dot avatar, then I want to show a picture, img src, paste this to the URL, and below the picture div class media content, div class content, p, if notification dot notification type equals message, and if then on AJAX URL notifications, so I loop through the same page as I am on now, just pass in some new parameters behind here so I can set the notification to red, conversation, this is the page I want to redirect to, and notification equals notification.id, in here I say strong notification dot created by dot username, sent you a message, break line, small notification dot created at natural time. So now I see who sent it and when it was done. So then I can copy this, paste it there, else if notification type is follower, then I want to go to Oinker profile and replace this with started following you. I can copy this again for the likes. Like, I also wanted to go to user profile, but I want to say liked and oink you wrote. Like that. And at the bottom here, I can say empty. No, I already have the check at the top. So now I save this. And then I just want to change the CSS a little bit, because up here I want to say notifications wrapper.media. So this will also get this styling. Close that. Next will be the view to render the HTML and redirect the users. So inside the views.py, I first include the login required decorator from django.contrib.auth.models now.decorators, import login required, and I need to import the redirect shortcut. I need to import the models notification, create a new view, def notifications, request, go to equals request.get go to, notification ID equals request.get notification 0 as default. If go to isn't empty, I know that I should redirect him. Then I get a notification from the database. Get pk equals notification ID. Then I set it to be read. Notification.save. If notification type equals notification.message, then I want to redirect him to a conversation, so I say return redirect conversation, pass in the user ID from notification.createdby.id. So we will be returned to a conversation with the one who sent the notification. Elif notification.notification type. If that is a follower, return redirect oinker profile username equals notification.createdby.username, or if it's a like, notification.like return redirect oinker profile username equals notification.to user equals username, because you want to redirect it to your page because you are the user. So dot username, and then last but not least I want to render the notifications HTML file. notifications/notifications.html, save. So now I can go to the URLs to import this. from apps.notifications.views import notifications. Then I say here this, pass in the view, give it a name and save. Path, sorry. Okay, everything looks good. Still have this problem. Request that user is authenticated. Okay. It's inside the context processor. It's just supposed to be there because it's not a function. Okay, so now the conversation is working. I have no new notifications. But if I try to go here to my profile, I can unfollow him and follow. If I now sign out, sign in again with codewithstein, I have 2 notifications. He started following me and he sent me a message. If I click send a message, I get sent to the conversation and there's only 1 notification left. It's perfect. So now that we implemented notifications, we have come a really long way on our project. There are a few limitations on what we can implement in our project, but everything takes time. The last thing I want to implement are mentions. If someone mentions our username, you should also get a notification. I will begin with the database model for the notifications. So I go into notifications and models.py. Up here I create a new variable, mention equals mention, and then I add it below here as well. Mention. I don't need to update the database for this, but I need to update the template. So go to notifications.html, scroll down here, and I can just copy this because I want to go to a Oinker profile when someone has mentioned me. So just replace mention like this, and then to replace this with mentioned you in an oink and save. So then I also need to make it possible to toggle the read status and redirect the user, and that happens in the views.py. So below here I say alif notification type equals notification.mention. This is the model and this is just the variable inside here. And if it is a mention, I want to return redirect Oinker profile username is notification dot created by dot username and save. And then the last step is to make changes to the API inside the feed, into the feed folder there, and into the api.py file. And here where I've added the oink, I first want to import something called import RE, which is short for regular expressions. I already have the create notification and I have to import the user from django.contrib.auth.models import user, and then below here I can say results equals re.find all. Okay, this is kind of a tricky one, but I hope I type everything correct. Okay, so what happens inside here is that I look for an @ symbol followed by a word with 1 to 20 characters. This is hopefully a username. And then I loop through the result for result in results. And then I want the first one of them, because the result is a list with the @ symbol and then the word print result. This hopefully is a username. And then I try to get the user from the database. If user.objects.filter username equals result.exists, and I don't want the result to be my own username, request.user.username. And if it's not, then I can create a new notification, pass in the request, user.objects.get username equals result, and the type should be mention, like this. So now we can save and test this. If I go here to feed, and then I can try to say hi at codewithstein, go back, save, everything seems to be okay. If I log out, log in again with codewithstein, I have a new notification, admin mentioned you in an oink. So this was working, perfect. So now it's time to start thinking about deployment. The first thing you want to do is to add the code to GitHub so it's easy to maintain, and it also makes it easy to deploy. I've just created a new repo in my GitHub account called oink oink. I will add a link to this in the description. First, I want to go to the root and create a gitignore file. Gitignore. There are certain files I don't want to be pushed to the GitHub repo. And first is db.sqlite3. All files ending with pyc, also in the subfolders, like this, and save. And then I can just go and copy, copy all of this code, go in here, stop the server, and just paste everything here. And now the code should be pushed to my GitHub account. So if I refresh now, the code is here, but only that file. So git status, you see all of these also needs to be added. Git add dot git commit version 1, I can say, or something like that, git push. And if I go into GitHub again and refresh, all files should be located here now. Perfect. So now I can start thinking about checking this out on my server. So I just copy this, go here, and here I have signed in to the server. I'm going to use the server with Ubuntu 20.04. I will serve the Django project using something called gunicorn. This is perfect for Django, but this is not suitable for serving media files, so I will also use AJAX. I will show you step by step everything I'm going to do. I will begin by creating a user group and a user. Sudo group add system oink group add, not group app, and then sudo user add system gid group id is oink group shell bin bash, and the home for the user is /oink root, and then the name of the user is oink user. Then I can create the oink root folder and go into it, mkdir oink root. This is the root for the whole project and where I want to create my virtual environment. I create this by saying virtual env oink oink 364, and then I go into it and activate it, source bin activate. To make sure that I install the exact same packages on the server, I can write pip freeze here on the local environment, pip freeze. This will give me the packages. So I can just copy these, create a new file, req.txt, and paste them there. And then I just say pip install -r requirement.txt. Sorry, I forgot I deactivated source bin activate. And then I say this again. Perfect. So now this is installing the same packages. When the installation is done, I can also install gunicorn, which I'm going to use very soon. Pip install gunicorn. And then I can go to GitHub, copy this again. And in here is a git clone and then the environment. So oink oink, now I have the code here. And then I can create the database, make migrations, Python manage migrate. So now everything there is created. I can try to run this by saying python manage.py run server 1 and 2 168 137 150. This is the IP address for the server. So I just forgot to add this IP in my allowed hosts. vi oink oink settings.py. And I can also add oink.com in here. Should be without HTTP. Run again and refresh. So now everything there is running. I will now show you how to set up gunicorn. I will begin by creating a new file called gunicorn_start in the bin folder. vi bin, sorry, I have to go out here. Okay, so I have to stamp in the environment, and then I say vi bin gunicorn_start, and then I start the file with this bin, sorry, there, bin sh, then the name, oink oink, this has to be in quotes, Django there equals oink root oink oink 364 oink oink. This is where Django is located. Sock file oink root oink oink 364 run gunicorn.sock. This will be created when we run gunicorn. User is oink user, group is oink group, num workers equals 3. I have 1 CPU and you need to multiply the number of CPUs with 2 and then add 1 at the end. Django settings module equals oink oink.settings. Django WSGI module is oink oink.wsgi. Timeout 120 seconds. Then I need to tell the script to go into Django there. And when in here you say source /bin activate to activate the environment. Export Django settings module, just copy this, equals Django settings modules like that. Export Python path equals Django there colon Python path like that. Run there equals their name sock file test -d run there, and if it not exists I create it mkdir -p run there. And down here I say execute /bin gunicorn dollar curly bracket Django WSGI module, close that one, application, new line. Here I want name, new line, workers, num workers, timeout, user equals user, group equals group, bind equals Unix $, colon $, sock file, like that. Log level equals debug, log file equals dash. So everything here seems to be okay now. If you don't understand everything here, I suggest you try to read a little bit more about gunicorn. It's not necessary to understand everything here, just hope that everything is working. Save and close. And then I just need to make sure that we can run this file, chmod +x bin gunicorn start. So I can try to run it by saying /bin gunicorn start. Okay, everything seems to be working now. I see that the Oink group now owns all folders here, so everything should be okay. There are a couple of different ways to make sure that gunicorn server is always running. I will be using something called supervisor. You install it by saying apt-get install supervisor. I have already installed it, but you need to run this command to install it at your server. Next, I can go to cd etc supervisor conf.d. I have already created a new config called oinkoink.conf. You set the program name to oinkoink, the command, which is the script we just created, the user to execute it. We also have a log file in this folder and a couple of other commands. When you're finished, you can just save this and say supervisor ctl reread. Okay, you will probably get that oinkoink is available. Then you say update. And everything now should be okay. So if I run supervisor ctl status, you'll see that oinkoink is running. Perfect. So now the next thing is to install AJAX. You do this by saying apt-get install AJAX. I've also installed it, but you need to run this command. Then you go to etc/AJAX sites available and create a new file here called oinkoink.conf. In here, the first thing you do at the top is to create an upstream and call it oinkoink app server. This is a reference to the socket file which was created by gunicorn. So it's server unix/oinkroot oinkoink 364, which is the environment, and then this will be created when supervisor starts the script. Down here we have a server listening at port 80. Server name is my domain. We have access log and error log, and this is where we serve static files and media files. At the bottom here we set up a proxy to transfer or forward the traffic to the gunicorn server, as you can see here. This is the name of the one at the top. When that's done, you can close it and go to up one folder and into sites enabled. To enable the site, you say ln-s.sites available oinkoink.conf. I already created this, but this is the command you need to run. And then you just say service nginx restart. And now everything should be working there. So now I can go to the browser to test this. oinkoink.com. I get a bad gateway, okay. So if I go to oink root, oink, and just tail logs unicorn. Okay, there's something wrong here. cd logs. Why can't I tail the supervisor? Okay, everything there seems to be working, so I might need to restart the supervisor. Supervisor ctl restart oink oink. Okay, now it stopped and started, and now everything here is working. So now you can enjoy your very own social network. And as I said earlier, there are a ton of different things you can add to this social network. File attachments, group chats, make the search better, email notifications, possibility to change the username and similar. You can also add retweets or re-oinks as they would be called here, and much more. So this is the end of the video. I hope you liked it and that you learned a lot. If you liked the video, please click like below and feel free to leave me a comment. I'd also really appreciate it if you chose to share this video with your friends and colleagues. See you next time.